Thank you. It's good to see all of you again. Some of you have been here most of the week. Some of you, it's I think the first time I've seen you, so welcome. I think this will be an incredible talk for us. Startup Week is over 50 events highlighting 14 different industries in our community, and we're excited to bring the light to those events, the industries here in our community. Thank you for being here. On your tag, there's an agenda. They'll take you directly to domestation.org/TLH Startup Week so that you can see the whole agenda. It also shows all the events that we've had this week. So we've basically been going from 6 a.m. to about 8 or 9 every day. So it's been absolutely incredible. And if you have time today between 4 and 7, we'll have our party at Yvonne Adams. And then if you feel so inclined, you can come at 3 o'clock here to the Challenger Center to celebrate and close out the week with us. So we'd love to have you here.
So 3 o'clock first, right?
3 o'clock here.
Okay.
And you can join the Hustle Party Shuffle over to Yvonne Adams from here to there. Cool. Well, without any further delay, I'll introduce our moderator, Chirag, who will share a little bit about his experience, his background, and introduce our speaker for this talk.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. Like Robert mentioned, my name is Chirag Shah. I am the founder and CEO of Made Equal Clothing Co. and the current agency. Made Equal is a clothing brand, but more importantly, a platform for people from all walks of life to talk about race, diversity, and facing adversities in a safe place. Because if we don't ever talk about it, we don't know the issues. If we don't know the issues, then how are we going to come in the middle to solve the problem? And then Current is a digital creative ad agency located here in Tallahassee, Florida, Savannah, Georgia, and St. Pete. We do over 15 different services from branding to social media to web development. And we're excited to be here. Thank you. And now I'm going to toss it over to Jimmy to introduce who he is and what he does.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out today. My name is Jimmy Sherwood, Jim Sherwood, some call me. I am the founder and creative director of the Canvas Project, which is a art and lifestyle brand based out of Tallahassee, Florida. I am originally a Boston, Massachusetts guy, and came to Florida about 6 or 7 years ago just to simply get away from the snow. And the basis of what we do as a company is we work heavily within like Web3 education, NFTs. We're known for hand-painted custom sneakers, and then we do a lot with education and working with students and doing a lot of things around teaching them how to paint and teaching them different things with entrepreneurship as well as NFT education and things like that. So a little bit about myself.
So Jimmy, how did we meet? How did we meet and how did we get here today?
Oh my goodness, yes. Well, first off, this is awesome to be doing this with you.
Thank you for the invitation.
My good friend, yes. So I think we met. Oh goodness. Well, we met. Was it through Eddie?
Through Eddie, yes.
Through Eddie, our good friend. When we did the Kicks Collective project.
Yep.
That's right. I think we knew each other, but I think that was the first time we actually met.
So one thing you'll quickly learn about us is that we love sneakers. That's what we're wearing today and what's on the table today. So the love for sneakers brought us together.
Yes, a lot of synergy there.
So a lot of synergy there.
Yeah.
And it was through our friend Eddie over at Rufus that brought us together to start a community-wide initiative to put the love of kids, helping kids, and sneakers together. And then from there, Jimmy and I have partnered up with, through my clothing brand Made Equal, to design 2 custom Air Forces, which has been worn by football players now. So that's one of the pairs on the screen right there. So I'm thankful for our friendship. I'm thankful from our conversations about sneakers and just life in general.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see where we go from here.
Yes, oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Cool. And if anybody has questions during the presentation, feel free to raise your hand and ask, and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Right?
How they work it, I mean, you guys, how long you guys know each other now?
Say it one more
How
time.
long you guys know each other?
Couple years?
It's probably getting close to about 3 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously it's in that overnight, but like, how does Made Equal and Canvas kind of coexist at this point?
You want to take that one? I'll
Yeah, sure. Great question.
Great question.
Yeah, so I think for us as, as a company, one of the biggest things that we wanted to do is make sure that for us, we're more than just painting shoes. We're more than just painting sneakers. There's a why behind it. There's, meaning behind all of the things that we paint. I could give you a 5-minute explanation on each of these shoes, sitting here, and somebody else might look at it and just say, well, it looks like paint and some colors, but then once you hear the meaning, and I say that to say, knowing Chirag and what he's about and his companies are about, that there's a lot of synergy there, it makes it perfect for us to, kind of come up with different ideas on how to work together, on the why behind, the shoes that were actually painted, the accessories, that come with the shoes, the aspect of, picking a charity and, or people having the opportunity to pick a charity when they purchase something, from Made Equal Clothing Company and apply that to what we do in regards to supporting art and education and working with the youth and things like that. So it really makes it kind of easy based off of the synergy that we have and obviously the friendship we have as well.
And then we both are the type of people that we like to give back to our community when there's an opportunity. I mean, I know you teach a class, a master class at TCC to young students.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think our love for sneakers, our love of giving back makes this a great combination.
Exactly.
All right, first question.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, tell me what Web3 and Web 3.0, or what Web 3.0 is.
Yes. So Web3 is, or Web 3.0, it can be said either way. Web3 is kind of this newer version of the World Wide Web, and that newer version of the World Wide Web involves technologies like decentralization, blockchain technology, tokenomics, kind of token systems, like for instance, like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Those are cryptocurrency. So anything that's kind of related to those things in that realm would be considered like the Web3 space. I think kind of another good example would be when you look at websites. You have .coms, websites and .coms. A lot of the Web3 companies or some of the new Web3 format, you're going to start to see like .io, Nike just actually released a platform, like a digital platform. I think it's actually .swoosh.
Okay.
So we're going to see like a lot of that, and that'll kind of help distinguish between the difference between Web2 and Web3.
And it's funny that you mentioned that because like through my ad agency, Current, we use current.agency. So
You're
like
getting,
we're making that shift.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good to know. Okay. That goes into my next question. What is an NFT and how did you get into the space of NFTs?
Sure. So the actual definition of an NFT is non-fungible token. NFT, to technically can be a song, it can be an audio file, it can be a video file, it can be just a JPEG. It's anything that is pretty much verified through or kind of connected with blockchain technology. A lot of NFTs. Well, I mean, there are ways you can buy NFTs with like US dollars, but the standard way is pretty much Ethereum. Solana is another cryptocurrency. Cardano is another cryptocurrency that a lot of NFTs use. The most common one is Ethereum. And kind of a common example I'll use is like if you have, say you have a Mona Lisa, you have one authentic, accurate Mona Lisa, right? Say you had that Mona Lisa in your house. You probably paid a lot of money for it, but you probably paid cash, you probably paid US dollars for it. NFTs, they're basically paid for in a cryptocurrency, and then because they're using that blockchain technology, it's what allows you to verify who owns the NFT. So, instead of me just saying, oh yeah, like we own this particular NFT, and it's like somebody saying, well, how? There's through blockchain technology, there's a place that I can take someone to show them that verifies we own that technology. So that's kind of the short of
Mike, crypto is confusing me. How do you break down crypto if people don't get crypto yet?
Sure.
I just know cash and not really crypto stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, actually, we'll probably get a little more to that, a little deeper into that question a little later, but to kind of still answer it for you, one thing I say is just, before you dive into it, do your own research. I think there's so much information out here. There's so much information on social media. A lot of information it's not always accurate. So I think the best thing is to definitely educate yourself and try to talk to people if you happen to know them that are in the space, that have kind of had those experiences or try to find someone that, has had those experiences that can kind of, give you firsthand advice on how to get into it versus I would never recommend, just diving into it yourself and Robinhood and jumping on CNN and everyone's buying Ethereum today and Bitcoin, so what do you do? That's
I'm
absolutely
guilty.
no, but I mean,
Just go for it. We'll learn as we go, right? No, always, whether it's cryptos, NFTs, or just getting your master's degree, research it before, have a strategy in place before you go and make it happen.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. All right. What is the biggest difference between how you do business now and how you did business in the past?
Yes. So one is definitely a lot different. It's definitely a lot different because the NFT space is such a wide range of people you're actually dealing with. You can be dealing with a 16-year-old kid that started a company and could be coming across as like, an adult, or you could be dealing with somebody in their 60s, you could be dealing with somebody in their 20s, 30s. Like, it's a very wide range of, very, very diverse community. So what happens is when you're dealing with the diversity in the community, you get a lot of different projects, which mean a lot of different things. And you in Web3 or in the NFT world, like, you don't want to just kind of like reach out to somebody and say like, hey, like, I want to do business with you. Like, it's like more of a connection, or like a friend thing. Oh, hey, I heard you speaking on the Twitter space recently, and I wanted to reach out. I saw the community that you're in, and I wanted to learn more about joining your community. We'd love to talk more to you about it sometime. Somebody from that standpoint, like, I know if somebody sends a message to us, and it's a particular NFT community we're in, it's kind of like they're asking, they're asking about that community. So I feel like it's my duty to explain, hey, this is what we do, this is what we're about. These are the type of people that are in this community. So it's kind of building that rapport before you can kind of go in and like almost try to do business.
Right.
Whereas in the Web 2 world, things are a little more cut and dry. Their, intentions are a little more understood kind of in the beginning, and it's kind of more so like, the intent is to do business.
Right.
Whereas in the Web 3 world, you could be in a community where we have the same, same style, NFT, and we're in the same community, we might not be following each other. And then we instantly follow each other. I follow you, you follow me back because we have the same looking profile picture. And the next thing you know, maybe one day I look at your profile picture and I'm like, wow, this is a really cool frog.
Yeah.
And I message you and say, hey, what's up? This is a really cool frog. And the next thing you know, we're building that rapport. It's like you don't go into it kind of with the intent to do business. You go into it with the intent to meet someone that's in your community. And then based off of, a conversation that you might have within that, sometimes it turns into business and then sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
So that side of it is it's different. It's different. And then the aspects of what the companies are doing, like a lot of these NFT communities and companies, they're new. So you have to pay attention to, the founders. And that's actually another thing too, is in the Web3 space, it's a lot, you have more access to the founders. It's a lot easier to actually get a hold of the founders because they'll be on like, these Twitter spaces and these different, one of the founders that we're in the community with, he's tweeting like all day. But that's like a part of what we want because it lets us know, like, yes, we want to know he's working, of course, but at the same time, it's like he's here, like, he's active. He's on Twitter just like we're on Twitter, so it's that connection is a little bit different.
I'll go a little off script here.
Yeah.
You mentioned community.
Yeah.
So let's specifically focus on the Tallahassee community.
Sure.
You started a thing called Aussie the Alien to bring the community together.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about it and who's with it
Sure.
and the goals for it?
Yeah, 100%. So we have when we started about 6 years ago, just knowing that we were kind of going to be trying to, work with kids, and we came up with like a bunch of different logos, and we came up with 2 different characters, one by the name of Pierre and one by the name of Ozzy.
Of course.
And Ozzy is our alien, and he has a camera around his neck, and his camera, signifies that he's a tourist. So basically, what we did is this past May, we came out May, June this year. We released our first NFT project, and part of that project, and one thing too that's kind of side note interesting about the NFT space is a week in the NFT space is like it's like 2 months. So it's such a fast moving community that what could have been happening 2 weeks ago might not be happening right now. So
Were you supposed to be naked when you designed them originally?
yeah, it's an alien, it's being close. No big deal. But yeah, so I started this, we came up with the idea, and part of the concept for the project was to kind of get a few people together that I know, I have relationships with business-wise, friendship-wise, and also could benefit from a lot of this technology and the community aspect of it. So part of the community, like one of the biggest things with, you hear me kind of toggle between NFT community and companies, because in the NFT space, a lot of people say community, but I really view them as early stages of companies. So in a lot of these NFT communities, it's literally what it is. It's about the community. So the concept of, celebrating each other and what, we all do. If one of us, say with our NFT projects that we have, there's 10 different digital collectibles. So we came up with different digital collectibles, and throughout those digital collectibles, eventually custom sneakers will come with them. We have merch. It's around here somewhere, but coffee mug I have. That we have merch that everybody's going to be getting here in the next couple weeks to a month. It's really about celebrating each other and connecting with each other, and learning about what we all do, learning about how we can all help each other, and learning about how this technology and a simple JPEG or video file can actually do a lot more and kind of act as a gift that keeps on giving. And, obviously because you're in the community.
I am. I'm gonna show you guys my Aussie alien. Technology allows me to open it.
But yes, so you are in the community, and
so this is my Aussie the alien right here.
yes.
I've had it for it's been a year now.
Well, so we've probably been talking about it for close to a year, but I think you probably been on it since springtime.
Yeah.
Springtime this year. So one of the things that we do is we do a bunch of giveaways per month for in real life, physical items, like a lot of collectibles, because a lot of the people that are in our community, are big collectible people. We have a lot of things that, I think one of the biggest things that's different with kind of orchestrating an NFT project versus, say, anything else that we do in regards to custom sneakers is there's a lot of building that goes on in the background. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that we're working on, different things that are being created that will be physical items that connect with the NFTs that you all own, things that allow everyone in the community to really showcase the NFT so that it becomes a kind of like a conversation starter, whether that's through merch, whether that's through the custom sneakers, whether that's through posting something on social media. It really represents so for instance with us, what we do is as a company we collect NFTs. It's not just me as an individual. When we get an NFT, we actually get it as a company, and we kind of use that as a tool to allow us to connect with the community. And when we do that, we don't just pick an NFT. We try to find something that, whether it's the colors that relate to our brand colors, whether it's a particular animal or alien that we feel just kind of, it's almost like going to the store and getting that pair of shoes and saying that's the one. It's not just I want that NFT. Kind of like you were able to pick yours. So I think the coolest thing about what we're doing with our project is there's a lot of building. I have some things that I'm not going to say yet that we're working on in regards to giving back. That's going to be really, really cool. Now, what's cool is it's not necessarily just us giving back as the Canvas project. It's the Aussie the Alien group is giving back, and a lot of different things involving you guys in the community, talking to the kids that we teach, because everyone that's in the community is, definitely a superstar in their own right, and with the things that they can do. And it's just all the way from, sneakerheads and, big time influencers to musicians to art teachers to founders understand how we can work together as well versus just like, oh, this person owns an NFT, we're in the same community. Like, it's a lot deeper than that.
You started for kids. How's your experience been teaching kids about NFTs, cryptocurrency?
It's been awesome, honestly. It's actually been going a lot better than I expected it to. Simply because I wasn't sure how receptive they were going to be to the technology and just kind of like, like, what is that NFT? It's been awesome because, I mean, honestly, the way I describe it is it's no different than talking to an adult who doesn't know about NFTs, because kids nowadays, they're so intuitive when it comes to technology and cell phones and tablets and things like that, that they pick up things. So they hear, a lot of stuff. They hear, like, I asked them a question a couple weeks ago, and I was like, how many of you know what Bitcoin is? And I was very impressed with the answers that I got, to be working with, I think the kids are like, I think the youngest is like 5, all the way up to about 13, 14. And they all knew, I walked them through some of the information, but they all, understand the concept of like Bitcoin and Ethereum being global currencies. Over the last couple of weeks, like, because I think if you were to sit and go on, say, OpenSea, which is the kind of like the hub for where a lot of the NFTs live, and where you purchase NFTs like in the secondary market, which we've been doing a lot of training with them there on OpenSea. When you go to OpenSea, you click on an NFT, you can go on there and there's so many that, look cool, have different colors and features and different animals. And because they're kids, that naturally draws them to the NFTs kind of off the bat. And then when you kind of say to them, like, okay, now let's click on it and let's, look at it further. And then you take it to the point of where you're breaking down traits. Like, for instance, traits are a big aspect of what kind of determines the value of an NFT. So if you have an NFT and say the NFT you have, maybe it has glasses or something like that, say only 5% of that collection, or let's say 1%. 1% would be like considered a rare. So say 1% of that collection, 1% of those NFTs might have glasses, but that makes it a rare trait, which could help make the value of that NFT higher because there's less of those NFTs within that collection. So it's like if you had a Mona Lisa and you took 100 different versions of the Mona Lisa where her nose is like on her head, right, her eyes, but each one was different. Say you did 100 of them. Each one of those is still going to be unique. It's still the Mona Lisa, but each one of those Mona Lisas is going to be unique. And what happens is the one that you get might pertain to you, or might pertain to, that with those, like the nose and the eyes and the mouth, like those are traits. Mm-hmm. So when you relate that and you get the kids on the computer and you say, all right, click on this one, and you look at the different traits, they're literally learning about NFTs and how to kind of like understand the value of them and simply like the traits that they like some of the ones we were looking at the other day, they have apples on their heads, or they're making a funny face, and the next thing you know, the kids are making fun of each other, saying, "You look like this one." And, so it's pretty cool because it's like teaching them things without them really like understanding that they're learning. And the funny thing is, it's no different than talking to an adult who doesn't understand the space, because if you're the cool thing is with kids, they're like sponges. So they're they're gonna learn regardless. You know, as adults, we kind of get to a point where, you know, I think they say it's easier for children to learn a foreign language than it is, you know, growing up at a younger age than it is once you're an adult, right? And it's kind of, to me, it's similar with NFTs because to them, you know, it's not, yeah, it's new technology, but I mean, they don't understand what Web2 is, right? So, or you know, .com, they don't understand that side of it. So it's like if this is what they're learning, it's just going to be what they're learning.
Now, it's refreshing to see, like I follow you on Instagram, I see all the stories that you post with kids, and it's refreshing to see their enthusiasm, their excitement of like, we don't know this, but we're here to learn. And so I appreciate that. You make it fun. I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It is, like I said, it is cool because you really don't know, you know, going into it, like even the first week, you know, some of them were just like, well, what is that NFT? Like, why is this bald guy with a beard here talking about digital pictures? Like, you know, then you start talking to them, like, when you really start breaking it down and, you know, getting them to kind of, you know, lead the way of their own learning. Like, okay, get on OpenSea, and then, you know, obviously you're going to get, I would say maybe 25 kids, you know, you'll get 10 that'll probably jump on and end up looking at another collection just because they're curious and you told them to type in this, but they're looking at something else. Right? But it's kind of cool because at the same time they're exploring. You know, they're getting into this technology and you can see that it's something they're interested in and they're actually in the driver's seat for learning. Whereas, you know, it could be a situation where you say, all right, everybody get on OpenSea, and then the kids are just looking at you like, I'm not getting a computer. Like, this isn't custom shoes, like, whatever. But, I mean, it's been amazing to see how they've all responded and how much each time I come in, you know, they're like, okay, like, what NFTs are we talking about today? I'm like, wow, this is completely different from how the first week was.
You mentioned that, this is a personal question.
Yeah.
You mentioned value of NFTs.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why a picture of an ape would cost more, values more than a G-Wagon? Like, tell me why is that the case?
That is a great question. So I think, you know, one of the things about, you know, that collection specifically, the Bored Apes. You know, there are people like Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Serena Williams, a lot of Justin Bieber, a lot of celebrities, you know, in that crew, which had a lot to do with kind of helping them get started and get their name out there. You know, because you had a lot of people that were making purchases that say, you know, most people will get on OpenSea and place a bid, or, you know, okay, this is listed for 100,000, you know, let me try and see if I can get it for 50,000, you know, whereas some celebrities get on there. And the thing that's interesting with blockchain technology is it's transparent. You can see, like with Ethereum, they create what's called transactions create what's called smart contract.
Okay.
So when someone goes, say, and purchases an NFT, you can go back after that NFT is purchased and actually look at the transaction history of, you know, who originally minted, you know, got that NFT from release, and then who it's kind of been passed to. So the value from Bored Apes, it's funny because they're called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And from, I mean, I don't know, because, you know, obviously we don't own one.
Right.
But, not yet. But they, I mean, from what I've heard, there's a yacht club, private yacht club. And what grants you that pass is owning that NFT. You know, a good example would be, once again, from what I've heard, if you are a Lamborghini owner, I believe, you know, after you own a Lamborghini, there's a whole bunch of stuff they send you, and, you know, you're now a part of this club, you so you're now part of this club, and I'm sure they have private events, exclusive events, same type of thing. So if you're, say a 17-year-old kid, and you happen to somehow stumble across owning a Bored Ape, say you wanted to start a company, I mean, what better way than to connect with the people at a yacht party that own Bored Apes, like Snoop Dogg and Eminem, so it's really and it kind of segues into, or back to, I should say, like the community aspect. It's a lot of these NFT collections, the value of them really come in. You're really as strong as your community. And you have a lot of people that are on Twitter in these communities, day in and day out, communicating with each other, working on different ways to, market your NFTs. I think one of the biggest things with the Bored Apes, and a lot of pieces that, I think that the two biggest pieces that people miss about NFTs are obviously the community, the more comes from the community. I mean, you can't really put a value on that. But I think the IP, the intellectual property. So there's a lot of, with these NFT collections, not all of them, but a lot of them, you can own the IP rights to your NFT. So, perfect example. Snoop Dogg and his son, they both have Bored Apes. And Snoop Dogg has actually taken his Bored Ape and created an Instagram page. Hired someone. So he has a guy or a lady that has a helmet, a mask that they wear, like a Chuck E. Cheese type of costume. And this person goes around and makes content. Like they make funny videos. It is Snoop Dogg's NFT that he turned into a real person, and he can. So now what he can do is he can take that Bored Ape and make money off his NFT because he owns the IP rights to it, which also promotes the Bored Apes. So it's a win-win and if you're in the Bored Apes and you own a Bored Ape and Snoop is in there and he's doing something that promotes, now that opens up the door for if you and me own one to go to another company and say, hey, I want to start a bubblegum company. I want to start a potato chip company, and I want this particular Bored Ape to be on it. Right. That company might say, oh, okay, cool, because then that's a good opportunity for that company to segue into the NFT space.
And that opens up merchandise and apparel.
Exactly. So when the Bored Apes, them being as popular as they are, that's kind of a lot of what comes with why they're so pricey. Believe it or not, there are, probably about 3 to 5 communities that are in the NFT world that are right up there with the Bored Apes. Just cost-wise, they're not there. As far as what they offer, utility-wise, from being a part of those projects, it's probably similar, if not even maybe more than what the Bored Apes offer. But the Bored Apes, they're just the Bored Apes. They're the head honcho right now, and they came out at a time and started doing some things that a lot of other projects weren't doing when they came out, and they've done a good job of continuing to evolve and getting more popular people into the community. So that's really the big thing right behind that. But it's good for the NFT community because you still need like a Goliath like that, a powerhouse, to help pave the way for the rest of the community.
Agreed. Cool. I guess I have a couple more questions. What would you say to your clients and customers who aren't interested in NFTs and cryptocurrency?
That's a question that comes up a lot. The biggest thing I would say, I think it's kind of what I said to Mike earlier. Definitely, it's about education. For us, like if we're going to be, doing some type of business with a company, and it's around, NFTs or the Web3 space, we don't want to go into it unless that company feels possible unless that company fully understands. Obviously, you're not going to just understand right off the bat, the whole NFT space, and there's a lot of layers, behind it. But the biggest thing is we really try to promote the education aspect of it. Like, I think that's one of the things that we want to do more with our, Ozzy the Alien project, is really just get more information out, to the community in regards to kind of like the daily events, the current events. Like, we're getting ready to start like a kind of like a Twitter space that, you guys will be able to come in and listen, pop in, 15, 30, 45-minute, spaces, just to kind of keep everybody up to date, because the crypto space does move very quick. It's very volatile, it's very volatile. So I think, for us, the education piece is very important right now, whether it's with, kids and students, whether it's with, our clients, because we want, we're really working on kind of part of our like rebranding for this year was really working on turning like our clients and customers into community. And that was what we really wanted to start with our Ozzy the Alien project, because, a lot of the Ozzy the Aliens in that project are past clients and customers.
For sure.
So we're working on that, community aspect, and through doing that, a lot of the Web2 companies that we work with, and nonprofit organizations that we work with, and just businesses in general, they don't understand that concept yet of community, and also the fact that this could be something that, NFT is really a gift that keeps on giving. So I think the big thing for us is, making sure we're educating our clients, and making sure how we educate them is empowering them to go out and do their own research as well. Because, Ethereum, Bitcoin could be one number today, it could be a completely different number tomorrow. So if we're doing some type of business around that, that's kind of just the nature of if we're working in that Web3 world. Whereas, the Web2 world, there's so many things that you don't have to talk about, because it's just like, okay, we're doing business, it's cash, there's this, boop, boop, boop. The Web3 NFT space it changes so much, kind of making sure that the people that we're working with and that are already part of our community understand, like, don't be intimidated by it. Just like sneakerheads, when the Nike app updates, and it's a sneakers update, like, you might look at it and say, oh goodness, this is a new layout, what is this? But you're going to fight through it, because you want those Jordans that come out on Saturday. So, right, exactly. Same type of thing.
You mentioned Twitterverse. Quick, I just want to give you props for getting verified.
Oh,
That itself legitimizes your expertise in the space, the community. So congrats on that. My pleasure. Last question, then we'll toss it up to the audience. How do NFTs and blockchain technology impact the future?
Yes. That's a good one. So, obviously, being that it's such a new space, nobody can literally predict the future and say, this is what's going to happen, or this is not going to happen. But I definitely will say that NFTs, they've changed my life. They've changed the Canvas project, and just the Web3 space in general, because it's a newer technology. And I think, we have newer technologies that come out all the time. Like, TVs go from 720p HD to 1080p HD to 4K. But I think this type of technology it's going to be, it's I can't think of the exact, I guess, groundbreaking.
It's slowly becoming mainstream.
Yes.
Yes. Slowly.
Exactly. And I think, there's a lot of people that still do business in an old-fashioned way, and everybody isn't as open to change as some of us are, which is kind of what is taking a little more time. We obviously have that bear market right now. Things are down.
Yep.
technology and like, you know, I'm gonna look up the kind of the slides because there's so many things. You have gaming, you know, you have, like I said with Sony, you have concerts. You know, they're gonna start, if some haven't already, start creating tickets.
Yeah.
You know, in NFT format, which is really really cool because now it's not just this paper ticket that you have that you know you might save and keep for memorabilia, but now you actually have an NFT which is going to be on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And will verify that you were at that concert at that time. You know, which is pretty cool. I don't think I have this up there, but I know there's been talks of, like, for instance, I read not too long ago that Rolex, I think, is running out of materials. Not like today, but you know, they've been around for some time, and Rolex is now, just because of the world we're in, there's so much fake sneakers, fake watches, fake this. But part of what I've heard, some of the technology that might end up getting into is if you buy a Rolex, no matter where you buy it from, that Rolex will come with a NFT. That NFT verifies, gives you that blockchain technology, and now you have a place or something, authenticity that shows that you own that watch, other than just the physical watch, and you go to someone and saying, "Hey, I promise this is, you know, my Rolex is not fake." You know, you can actually say, "Oh, you think my Rolex is fake? Let me pull it up and show you on the blockchain," and you'll be able to pull it up and verify, which also helps from a, like a, I guess you could say, a cybersecurity or security standpoint, because it's verification. So if you then choose to sell that Rolex, you'll be able to get the full value for it, because the person that you're selling it to, because Rolexes are steadily increasing in value. It's one of those things that, you know, it's like gold, it's steadily increasing in value, and you would be able to. It's like, I guess you could say, like a StockX or a Gold Tag. Like if you know, if you're selling me a pair of sneakers, I need that peace of mind. Like, where did you get them from? How do I know that's real? It's going to be the same type of technology with, you know, super expensive things like a Rolex. Then you have things like hospital documents, government documents. Because I was telling you, with Ethereum, they create what's called like smart contracts. So now with smart contracts, you have less people, easier to track, things like that.
I guess we'll leave it up to questions now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, actually, so I had since we're here, you know, I think it's always awesome to get someone's perspective that, you know, isn't as much of an NFT nerd as I am. You know, obviously, we're in space. I don't think the things that we do are weird, you know, but I would love to ask, kind of like from the, you know, say like on the outside, I mean, you go to NFT, so you're not like outside, but, you know, what is your kind of view on NFTs, or how do you just, like, how do you feel about them, I guess, in general?
So if you asked me this question before today, I would be like, what in the world is this? I feel a lot better now. I think your presentation definitely helped open my eyes more. It's becoming the future.
Yeah.
And but we're slowly getting there. I think it's the conversation about NFTs probably started around like 2020, 2021, really like the initial start of it.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to be hearing more about it. It's exciting, but it's also an opportunity to learn as we go.
Yeah.
I still can't get wrapped, we have these conversations at the office, and it's like, how can somebody own a digital asset be worth value so much, but people will still buy it? It's like, I want something physical that I can touch and feel and smell. And a digital collectible, I'm slowly wrapping my head around it.
No, that's awesome. And I guess the other piece, like, so, you know, because we talked about kind of like what the future I mean, I think it'll still be another year or two before, maybe even longer, realistically, before they're kind of like mass adopted for sure. But I guess I would add, once again, from the outside looking in, what would you think, or what would you say that, like, when do you think you could see them kind of becoming like a common, where it's like, 4 or 5 people home?
I mean, you mentioned earlier that Bored Apes, they're paving the road.
Yeah.
And so
They
now you
came
see,
out 9 months ago. They're probably probably about 11 months now, so they're getting close to a year.
and so like you see all these major brands, from the NBA to Nike to
Adidas owns them.
luxury car brands. I think the more that happens, it'll slowly become a thing for just the general person to be like, I need to learn it and I need to accept it because it's coming.
Yeah.
I know we're through both of our brands, Made Equal, we were talking about
Yeah.
NFTs with our sneakers, our clothing, so.
We talked about it, and part of the reason why I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we both kind of were like, it's probably just not time yet. Just like technology-wise, and our area, and for this particular project, it just, that doesn't mean that it's not time a week from now or 2 weeks from now. I know the last time we talked about it, that's a huge thing in the space, because you can have all of these, like, even with our project, like, there's a lot of ideas that I had that I was like, oh, we need to do this, or we should do this. But the difference with we're in a bear market right now. So when you're in a bear market and things are down and, things are not on the up and up, there's going to be a lot of negative press. And then on top of that too, like, there are a lot of collections that made a lot of money, like, beginning of this year. And then when the crash came, they lost a lot of their money, because it's unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it can be fortunately as well. It's the volatility of, the market. So it has to be for what a particular community is trying to do in the space. It has to fit, and it has to work with, it kind of has to work with what, like, for instance, Oregon did something really, really cool, where I think they got NFTs for, like, each of their players. I think it was like the women's basketball team, but somehow they correlated it to, Nikes and shoes. But I mean, that's Nike country. For sure. It went with what they were doing, the timing from that. Oregon was always kind of like the pioneer, doing a lot of stuff in the collegiate world.
And that's ultimately what we're trying to get at, is like, as we're working with student athletes through NIL agreements, obviously these student athletes now through NIL will get millions of dollars. So we want to also at the same time teach them about NFTs, cryptocurrency, but more importantly, financial literacy.
Yes.
As well.
Yes. 100%. 100%. Yes. I guess at this point we'll kind of open it up for questions. Put my contact information up there.
We see it firsthand right here.
Yeah, so you mentioned kind of like .com being Web 2.
Yeah.
And so would you basically say like most of these other like .net, .business, anything else is more like the Web 3 space?
So I wouldn't say that, if it's like .business versus .com, it's like, it could be a Web3 website versus a Web2 website. What is technically going to make a Web2 website versus a Web3 being a Web3 website is the Web3 website has to have that blockchain technology. It has to have, it has to be able to, so like when you go to, I talked earlier about OpenSea. OpenSea is like the big platform where, a lot of us NFT people, we go to buy NFTs, research NFTs. When you purchase an NFT, a lot of time it actually lives on OpenSea, even if it's not for sale. You'll still go, you can still go to OpenSea. So a lot of the Web3 websites, there has to be somewhere for, it'll ask you connect your wallet. You'll see at some point, in order for you to maximize the capability of that website, there will be somewhere that says enter your wallet or connect your wallet. And what that means is that's just like your crypto wallet. So your crypto wallet could be like, for instance, the one that we use is MetaMask.
There's also Coinbase.
So there's different, like, it kind of gets into like there's hot wallets and cold wallets. Cold wallets are more secure and better for security, and then hot wallets are like typically you might not want to leave as much money in there, or like if you have an NFT in there that's like, you know, worth $100,000, you wouldn't want to leave it in a hot wallet. You want to move it to a cold wallet. But basically, to answer your question, the difference is going to be the capability of that Web3 technology to basically connect your wallet, purchase something in like Ethereum or Bitcoin or Solana, whereas a Web2 website, you're just, you use the website. If you're purchasing something, you're checking out, you're using US dollars, you type in a card. On the Web3 websites, when you actually connect your wallet, when you go to check out, they'll just pull from, like, your wallet's connected. So like it'll just pull from there. So like for instance, OpenSea's website is OpenSea.io. So we're just seeing a lot of the Web3 companies. So like if you have a website and it happens to be like, I think there's a lot of nonprofits that use .art. It doesn't mean they're a Web3 website. It's just we're seeing a lot of companies that are in the Web3 space using websites like that, and it kind of seems to be a trend that's helping identify like, oh, this is a Web3 company versus we're used to seeing, the .com. Like Nike has Nike.com, but the new platform that they just created, I think, is Nike.swoosh. So it's like they're kind of following that trend of that segue into the Web3 space. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
There's seems to be a lot of volatility in the blockchain and NFT markets. And following that, I wonder if there's multiple platforms that provide things like NFTs, and if there are, with the volatility and if there are multiple people that provide those things, is there any risk to future investment or verifiability if those systems collapse or are not supported in some way?
Great question. So the first thing I'll say, and I mean, being somebody that has been in the space now for probably like 2 to 3 years, maybe 2.5 years, something like that. The first thing I always tell people, part of the reason why I tell people to, do your own research is for the security aspect of it. I can get on Twitter, a bunch of times a day, and one of those times, unfortunately, I just saw a situation, somebody that's in the community with me a couple days ago, a guy that got his wallet drained, lost all his NFTs. You hear, unfortunately, you hear that. But a big thing with that is, like in the NFT world, it's kind of like a common joke. We're all scared of like links. So like when people send us links, we're all like, whoa, like I'm not clicking that. Like, I'm not clicking that because the links are what basically how a lot of wallets get drained, because you connect, like you'll click on a link and you'll know, I need to connect my wallet. And if you're not careful, it can be, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, doing something late, not paying attention early in the morning. But as far as like the platforms and the platforms you're using, honestly, I joke around a lot of times and say the crypto world is kind of like the Wild Wild West. Enter at your own risk, but it's not that bad. I think it's the same as the Web2 world. You want to, if you're going to actually invest in Apple, if you're going to invest in Google, if you're going to invest in Amazon, you do want to know who the founders are. You do want to know some of their track records, previous business ventures, things that they've done, because if you're investing in a company, yes, you're investing in a company, but a lot of times the people that are leading the charge. You're investing heavily in them, in their mindsets, and what they believe in as well. So I think it's the same from that standpoint, and you kind of just gotta hope. I think being that it's a newer space, we are going to see a lot of, like, for instance, when we started at the beginning of this year collecting NFTs as a company, like I've been collecting them myself probably about a year, maybe a little less than a year, and then we started. I shifted to doing it as a company and collecting them and creating a company wallet since like probably March, and I think the biggest thing is we used to try and get everything, like free mints and just to be in as many communities. And I was like, we can connect with a lot of people. And I started realizing like a lot of these projects fail. There's a lot of FOMO that gets created, fear of missing out. Just like on the news with a stock, invest today, and it's doing your own research. So I try to now, fast forward, we're getting towards the end of the year, we don't just collect every NFT. We've condensed our collection. We really try to only collect there's about 3 to 4 communities that we're in, and you guys saw some of them up on the slides that we are connected to heavily, and that we spend a lot of time in those communities because we know the founders, we know what they're building, we know what they're working on, and we feel comfortable doing business with them. Whereas a lot of communities that maybe we were involved with, 3 or 4 months ago, they've either kind of fallen by the wayside, or they just haven't kind of kept up the same amount of steam that some of the communities that were still there have. So that would probably be my biggest advice. Like like I said, be prepared because having had on it is like the wild, wild west. But just try and surround yourself with the right communities and the right people. And the good side of the gentleman that I just heard the other day that got his wallet drained. Bunch of people in all of those communities that he lost the NFTs from, have reached out to him, have tried to help, have sent him some of the NFTs back that he lost. A few people have bought, went and ended up buying them and buying them back and getting them back to him. So it's just surrounding yourself with the right people in the space, and just all. I think with some of the recent stuff that has gone on in the news with crypto, obviously with FTX and that stuff going down. I read the other day that they're suing. I think they're suing like Shaq, Steph Curry. There was one other person. I think Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, because they were spokespeople for FTX. And I'm going to really monitor that story closely because I don't think that's right. Because I don't think there's any way that those people, I don't know the ins and outs of if they were actually investors. Oh, Tom Brady was another one. I don't know if they were actually investors in FTX, but I think it's hard to sue them for that because how could they know that guy was going to do? We're still, anytime we go back and look at the early stages of companies in this country, I'm sure there were a lot of crazy stories and flops. And we still have crazy scandals and stories that happen in the Web2 world now. So, yes.
I was just going to elaborate on one thing that you guys touched on in the community and working with the kids, and kind of your surprise to like what they already knew, and then your comment about like we want something tangible. I think it speaks to our generation. It's really not us that's going to understand that. I mean, you're already seeing the generation that this is for. Being a parent and like witnessing like the evolution of Apple and the iPhone and the iPad, right? When we're at dinner and we have those kids that device to entertain themselves for the last, 5-10 years, they've been playing Roblox or Minecraft. They've been actually creating NFTs, trading NFTs. When they create a world and they earn rewards, they're actually earning crypto, and they're using it in those games. And they've been